So today we are still discussing about the nonlinear PDE and the characteristic ODE. So what we have solved either in the case of quasi-linear PDE or semi-linear PDE, in the earlier case the characteristic ODE also, we solved the problem. Okay, so suppose some problem is given, we have solved the PDE and existence and uniqueness also we have seen for some of the cases. But for nonlinear PDE, completely we didn't see that. Okay, so now what we are going to do is that we are going to see that for the nonlinear PDE, how to obtain the solution for the boundary value problem. Okay, it means like suppose a boundary condition is given, how to obtain the solution for that. So in the last class, we have seen the nonlinear PDE, first order nonlinear PDE with only the characteristic ODE we have seen. So the characteristic ODE is given this way. This is the way we have seen. So P dot of S equal to. So P dot of S equal to minus dx into f of P of S, U of S, P of S is represent X of S. Okay, minus, I'm just ignoring those terms. So just remember that minus d z into f. Okay, so this is P dot, and similarly Z dot is nothing but minus plus dp into P. Okay, dp into P, and x dot is nothing but simply dp. So this is the one which we have seen in the last class. Okay, we have derived and then we have solved some of the problems on quasi-linear and semi-linear PDEs, etc. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to do solve this problem together with the boundary condition. Suppose f of d u comma u comma x equal to 0 together with the boundary condition e equal to g. So this is defined in omega and this is defined on gamma. So in that case, we are trying to find what is the solutions for this problem. But finding this problem solution is a little bit difficult and tedious. So what we need to do is we need to make many assumptions. From that we'll try to find. So first what we are going to do is that we are going to choose x naught in gamma. Okay, x naught in gamma. So from that x naught we are trying to find a curve which is called flattening. Okay, flattening boundary, straightening the boundary we are going to find. So what we are trying to do is that we are having a omega here. Okay, so this is my gamma. I have x naught here. So for this x naught, I have to find some curve. Okay, such that I'm going to find first the flattening boundary. Okay, I'm just going to localize the solution. Means flattening boundary I'm going to find, and then I will find some compatibility condition. And third one, I will find the not characteristic boundary condition. So keeping this all these conditions, from that what I will find is I will find a local solution. Okay, I will find a local solution, and then once I find the local solution, what I will do is that I will just stitch it or I will just leave it together, and then I will find the I will solve the finding the boundary value problem. That's the basic idea. So let's see that. So with boundary conditions, let us see that. First one is straightening the boundary condition. So our main goal is to solve this one. Okay, our main goal is to solve this boundary value problem. So the characteristic ODE, whatever I have given, this is called the characteristic ODE. This is called the characteristic ODE. So for this characteristic ODE, we have to use this. Okay, use this characteristic ODE to solve this boundary value problem. Okay, at least we cannot solve that completely. So at least what we need to do is that we need to solve it at least near the region. Okay, in a small region. Okay, it means I'm going to find a localized solution. In a small region, I'm going to find an appropriate portion of gamma. Okay, such that we can solve it. So I'm fixing an x naught in gamma. Okay, or x naught belongs to omega. Both are same. Portion of gamma, portion of partial of dou omega. Okay. Now in the straightening boundary, first what I'm going to do is that I'm going to find two functions. Okay, pi and psi, which is a mapping from r power n to r power n. Okay, and finding a mapping from r power n to r power n such that pi is inverse of psi inverse. Okay, so this is the first construction I'm going to do. Pi equal to psi inverse, and in such a way that this pi straightens out dou omega near x naught. Means Okay, just translate this. Okay, so this is a curved boundary. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to straighten the boundary in such a way that this pi is straightens out dou omega near this extent. Okay, suppose this is extent. I'm just trying to find it. I'm just going to map it over here in such a way that this is going to straighten out dou omega near extent. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so that I can apply that some of the. I can translate the problem into some simple domain and then we can solve it. Means like instead of curved linear, I can just translate to simple coordinate system and then I can do it. Now, suppose any function u is given. Okay, so this is the one I'm trying to find. Pi is straightening out the boundary only near that place I'm going to straighten out, not the entire thing. Only near the extent I'm going to straighten. Now, given u is a function from omega to r, okay, omega to r. So we are going to find, in that case, I'm going to find another domain. Okay, I'm going to find another domain. U is omega from r. So v is nothing but pi of omega. Okay, v is nothing but pi of omega. Means I'm going to find. Suppose u is defined on omega r. I'm just going to find. It's a mapping. Pi is a mapping. Okay, so omega is this one. Then this is going to map it to Q. Okay. C is a mapping from pi omega to means V is equal to pi of omega. Now what we are going to do, so in that case I'm going to set the problem as V of y, which is nothing but pi of u of y. Okay, V is belong to V. Okay, so this is the one. So V of y is nothing but pi of v, where y belongs to V. Okay, y belongs to V. In this case, what is going to happen? Then you can find single on the other hand, since it is inverse map is there. So what you can find is that you can find another relation such a way that u of x equal to u of x equal to you can find v of pi of x. According to this relation, you can find v of pi of x. You can find. Okay, so if u belongs to C1 source. Okay, suppose u belongs to this is a first order linear PD. Suppose u belongs to C1 source of PV. What does V source? Okay, that is the question. What does so suppose we consider this one. Okay, we consider this one. Forget about this second one right now. So let's consider this one. Suppose u solves the problem 1. Let us say this one PVP. Let's solve if it is solving this one, then what does V is going to solve? Let us see that. Okay, what does V solve? So we need to see what is the relations between that. So in that case, what I can do, I can find the relation. So as I mentioned, u is also we can write as v of pi of x. Okay, x belongs to omega. So in this case, I can find uxi. Okay, uxi is going to become like I got to differentiate, so I got to use the chain rule. So u of xi, so which is nothing but a function of v. Pi is I can write it as pi is pi of v is a function of y, v of y. Therefore, I'm going to get dou pi by dou v by dou y. Okay, dou v by dou y is going to come. It is going to be xi, so there will be some different variables going to be there. Okay, but the notations, the number of variables is going to be the same because this is also a subset of r power n, and this is also a subset of r power n. Okay, because pi is a mapping from r power n to r power. So therefore, n variables will be there. So in this case, I'm going to get u of xi is going to be dou v by dou y k. Okay, into okay. Pi I got to differentiate, okay, with respect of pi, and then which is nothing but a function of pi of x. Therefore, I am going to get dou pi by dou pi k, because pi is 1, 2, 3, etc. variables is going to be there. So in that case, I am going to get dou pi k by dou x. Okay, because yk, which is nothing but y I can write it as y belongs to v. If y belongs to v, y can be written as pi of x variable. Okay, y belongs to v. Therefore, what I'm going to get, I'm going to get y I can write as some pi of x I can write. Okay, y is going to be written as some pi of x. Okay, v is equal to pi of x. That's it. So I have, so this is for each variable I got to do, because n variables are there, that summation is going to be k equal to 1 to n. Okay. So this one I can write it as, so du of x I can write, so this is same as, if I just find, if I just assume this is a function of y alone, so in that case I can just say this one as, this part I can say it's as dv of y, and this part I can say it's as d pi of x. Okay, dot product. Okay, so this is going to be the case. Now what I have, d, so ux is this one. Okay, so therefore I can write this is nothing but du of x. So du of x is going to be dv of y into d pi of x. But what is in our problem, we have f of du comma u comma x is there. So this one I can rewrite this as f of du is nothing but dv of y into pi of y. Okay, dv of y into pi of y, comma u of y is nothing but v of y. Okay, u of y is nothing but v of y. I can write it as u of y is nothing but pi of u of y. Okay, or I can simply write v of y. U of y is nothing but v of pi of x. Pi of x is nothing but y, so I can write it as v of y here, or v of pi of x I can write. But I'm going to translate to the y domain. That's the reason I'm going to write v of y, comma. I already mentioned that x is nothing but pi, y is nothing but pi of x, and pi and psi inverse inverse mapping theorem I have pi number. Therefore x is going to become like psi of y. Okay, because y equal to pi of x means x equal to pi inverse of x, but pi inverse is nothing but psi. Okay, therefore this is going to be psi of equal to 0. Okay. So this is going to be my transform term. So that means what I have is I have an expression. So if I just simplify this further, I can write this as another form. So g of d of b of y, okay, g of d of b of y into e of comma b of y comma y equal to 0. Some other expression, okay, g, not f, it is something called g. So that is equal to 0 in, this is going to be in b domain. So if you remember our from the first class onwards, whatever we are trying to solve, so whenever the solution is not possible to find it in a given domain, we translate the problem into another domain and then we solve the problems over there and then bring it back to the original domain and say this is the solution is good. So that's the thing we are going to do from the beginning of the lecture onwards. We are trying to do the same thing. We are not able to solve it something in the PDE, then we translate to the ODE problem. Once again, we are doing some kind of transformation and then we solve it over that setting and then bring it back over here and then we do the same thing we are going to do in here also. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. So this is called straightening the boundary, and you have u equal to g. Okay, so in that case, my boundary condition also will change. So the change is going to be v equal to kh is going to come. Okay, v is going to be v is equal to kh is going to come, and again this gamma has to change. So this is going to be in v. This is going to be like I have to formulate this one. So this is going to be on del. Del is nothing but, so here I have applied pi of omega. Same thing I have to apply pi of gamma. So this is going to be pi of gamma. Okay. And you can say what is kh of y? Kh of y is nothing but, so again you can use that same thing. Okay, kh of y is going to be g of pi of y. Okay, so this is the new transform domain. So the problem we transform to the problem. That is the problem transforms to the following one: g of t of y become b of y, d of y, y, and kh of y equal to v equal to kh. So this is my new domain. Means I transform from here to here, from this place I transform over here. Okay. So I'm going to solve it in that domain. Okay. Now next part. So this is the first step only we completed. Now next step is what we need to do is that we need to find the compatibility conditions on boundary data. Okay. Suppose so now suppose we transform it over here where we straightening out the boundary. So in that case we can solve this problem. Okay, now we are going to see again some general settings. Suppose I have already some straightening boundary is done. Means I just straightening the boundary means what? There is no variations with respect to one of the variable. Means the last variable. For example, this I am keeping it as a curved boundary. Therefore, here x and y are varying. So in the case of straightening boundary, almost near that x0, what is going to come? This is going to be straight line. That means with respect to another variable, it is not going to vary. Okay, it is not going to vary. So that is the reason I am saying it is straightening boundary. Okay. Now we are going to solve that. Okay, I'm not. You assume that we transform this problem. Okay, we transform this problem to this straightening boundary problem. Then what we are going to do next step? We are going to solve the problem on the straightening boundary and then see how it is going to help us to go to the next step. Okay, so once again I'm going to solve a similar kind of problem. So suppose I have the same kind of problem. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, step 2. So in step 2, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take x0 in omega. Okay, x0 in omega. But now I assume that this x0 is almost near the. We assume that this x0 is, this gamma is nothing but, okay, the gamma is already straightened out. Okay, this gamma is already straightened out. Remember that the original problem, it may not be there. We transform to the V domain and then we solve. But now I am going to assume that it's already there. Okay, if it is already there, we are going to do. If it is not there, what you can do? You can use the straightening boundary condition and then you can bring it over there, solve it over there, and then bring it over there. Okay, so that's the second step we can do. So here we are going to assume that this is almost, this x0 is almost, I'm going to assume that this is like a straightening boundary. Okay, so that means what I'm going to say, x0 belongs to omega means straightening boundary means I'm going to say I have variable x1, x2, etc. xn is going to be there. Okay, this is going to be my variable in r power n, or in omega. Okay, r in omega. So in this case, what I'm going to say, x0 if I'm taking, okay, let's say like this is going to be x0, 1, etc. is going to come. So the nth variable, okay, the nth variable is going to be 0. The last variable is going to become like 0, lying in the plane xn equal to 0. So if you see that in the two-dimensional case, same thing is going to happen. So x comma y. So if you just see that this is a curved boundary. So if I have x0 over here, in this case you can assume that both are varying. Okay, both are varying. But what I am assuming it is near the flat boundary. Therefore, y variable is going to become 0. Okay, x is going to be varying, y is going to become 0. So that is the meaning of this flattening boundary. Now what we are going to do, we are going to find the compatibility conditions for this boundary data. So what we are going to do, so we let us initialize the characteristic ODE, okay, to construct a solution at least near that x0. Near the x0, we are going to find what is the characteristic ODE, okay, at least near the x0. So what we need to discover here is that we need to discover, in order to solve this problem, we need to discover what is my P of 0, okay, what is my Z of 0, and what is my x of 0. Okay, these three conditions supposed to. Okay, suppose P of 0 is P0 and Z of 0 equal to Z0 and x of 0 is x0. So these are all given. Okay. So if this curve passes through the x0, suppose I found this solution for this, and this solution is, or the curve is passing through this x0, then what I can say, we should insist that, okay, if it should pass through the x0, what is Z? Z is nothing but u. Okay. So if it is satisfying, what we need to say is that it should satisfy that Z0 should be equal to g of x0. Then only we can say that this boundary condition is going to be satisfied. Okay. U equal to g on omega. X0 is belong to omega. And, we straightened out the boundary, and we have all these conditions. Okay. So Z0 equal to g of x0. Then we can say that this is going to be satisfied. Okay. We need to insist this one. So now what we have, so what we require for P equal to P naught. Okay, now what we require for P of 0 equal to P naught. For that, what we require. Okay, so for that, what I require is that I require, so P equal to P of for that. Okay, what I need to find is, we need to find some condition for that. Okay, so xn is already 0. So from this one, we'll try to find what is going to happen. So u of x1, x2 etc. xn minus 1 comma 0, because my xn is 0. I'm lying in the plane xn equal to 0. It's nothing but g of x1 comma x2 comma etc. xn minus 1. Because if it is gamma, one dimension will be less. Okay, omega is going to be n dimensional, gamma is going to be one dimensional because we have the boundary data. Okay, so this should be satisfied. G of x1 comma x2 comma xn minus 1 comma 0 should be satisfying G of x1 comma x2 comma xn minus 1 on gamma, near gamma. Okay, near x0 belongs to gamma. Okay, so if we differentiate this one, suppose if we differentiate this one, what I will get dou u by dou xi of x0. Okay, x0 is nothing but this in this gamma. It's nothing but g of dou g by dou xi of x0. Okay, because x0 in that case, I'm just ignoring that last. So this is going to be satisfied at I equal to 1 to etc. n minus 1. Okay, this would be so you got to differentiate and then find this one. Now this should solve our this should satisfy our PD. Okay, means this condition, the first condition should be satisfied. Okay, so it should also satisfy our PD. So in that case, what I insist is that I'm just going to insist this one. Okay, so I'm going to put another conditions on this. So this should satisfy on that one. So in that case, what I'm going to say, if it is going to satisfy, I'm going to insist that f of p naught, okay, comma z naught, comma x naught should be 0, because this should satisfy this condition also in omega. Okay, in omega, and that means it's near x0, right? So that place is it should satisfy, and then it should satisfy that u xi of x0 should be equal to g xi of x0. So these two should satisfy. Okay. So then we say this condition is called compatibility condition. So this condition is called compatibility. Now we say there is something called or even I can write this as, okay, the p u of xi is nothing but p of xi. I can write this as pi also. Okay, pi also I can write, because pi means dou e by dou x. So pi of 0 I used to write. So that is also same as this one. Both are same. Okay, these two are equivalent. So these two conditions, okay, 6 and 9. So 6 is this one and 9 is this one. These two are called compatibility condition. Okay, and this p naught. So the one which I have, p naught equal to p1 of 0, p2 of 0, etc. pn of 0, which is I think there's a mistake there. It should be 2n plus 1. It should be okay. So there's a mistake there. I forgot to write the triple there. Actually, the triple is as follows. Okay, there's a mistake. So the triple is this one. So what I have is, I have this p naught, comma z naught, comma x naught. Okay, this is the triple. Okay, this is the triple. I'm going to use it everywhere. So this is belong to r power 2n plus 1. Okay, that is not correct. That is there's a mistake there. So p naught, comma z naught, comma x naught. So this is n variables. N variables are there. N variables are there, and one variable is there. That's for 2n plus 1. Okay. So this triple is called. So this triple. Okay, this triple together with this condition z naught equal to g of x naught, and one more condition. Condition number 9. So condition number 9 is this one. Okay. So these conditions, and then z naught equal to g of x naught. Okay, so this one and this one together with this p of this triple, which is satisfying these two conditions, is called admissible. Admissible means I'm saying that there is a solution is going to exist. Okay, so it is called admissible. Verifying 6 and 9 is called admissible. So in this case, what we can say is that this z is uniquely determined by the choice of x naught. Okay, so z naught, this z naught equal to g of x naught is there. So this, if you are giving the x naught in gamma, this g is well defined. Therefore, g of x naught is going to be well defined. Therefore, z naught is going to be well defined. Means you are going to uniquely determine your choice of BCs of your by the choice of your boundary condition and the choice of your x. Okay, because your g is well defined. That's the reason. this P naught satisfying this one may exist or may not exist. That we don't know. Okay, it may exist or may not exist. Even if it exists, we don't know whether it is going to be unique or not. It may be unique and it may not be. That we cannot correct. Okay, so for that we are trying to do some of the theorem. At least we are trying to find in today's class. Let us try to find whether existence is there. The local existence will see. Okay. Third assumption. Okay, so first assumption is we straighten the boundary. Second assumption, since we straighten the boundary, one variable becomes 0. Therefore, we just we have found the compatibility conditions for that. So once we found the compatibility condition, okay. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to find non-characteristic boundary data. Okay, so here what we are going to do is that we are going to find solution of this PDE by integrating the ODE with x intersecting a gamma at x. Okay, so means it's not going to be non-characteristic; it is going to be non-characteristic. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So again, the same assumption: x naught belongs to gamma. Okay, near x naught lies in the plane. So on that case, again we have the same kind of things like the straightening boundaries. Okay, so the lies in the plane x equal to. And further, we have all these conditions, means all these things are satisfied. That means what I have, P naught of Z naught of P naught comma Z naught comma X naught is admissible. Those that condition is also satisfied. Means I am going to assume both of the previous conditions, both are satisfied. Okay. Then now what we are going to do, we are going to find a solution of this PDE. We are going to find the solution of this PDE in such a way that we are going to find the solution of the construct a solution of the PDE such a way that by integrating this non-characteristic PDE. So what I am going to say, I am going to find this P dot of S. Okay, I am going to transform it to some other domain. Okay, and then trying to find the solution with the condition P naught of S, etc. So using that, I am going to find the solution. Okay, so means what I am going to do, I am going to perturb this P naught Z naught comma X naught, which is admissible one. Okay, but keeping that compatibility condition. Okay, I will keep the compatibility condition, but I will just perturb this P naught comma Z naught comma X naught because I am going to solve near gamma only. So that means I am just going to perturb a little bit and then going to find what is the solution is going to. Okay, so this is the two tasks I have. Okay, first task is I have to find the integrating this characteristic ODE. I have to find the solution for this PDE, which is intersecting gamma at x naught. Okay, which is going to intersect at gamma at x naught because I am going to find the characteristic ODE and that is going to solve some, going to give some curve. So that is going to intersect at x naught. That is the one I am going to find. Then second thing, apart from that, I am going to find the additional task. Okay, what is the additional task is that I am going to perturb near that P naught comma Z naught comma X naught is given. So for this curve, I am going to find some perturbation nearby that X naught and then going to see how it is going to behave. Okay, let's see that. So means what I am going to do, that is for a given point. Okay, for a given point. So suppose there is a point given y naught comma, because the last boundary is 0. So I am going to take some y belongs to gamma. If y belongs to gamma, that can be y1 comma y2 comma etc. yn minus 1 is going to be there because near the boundary it is 0. Okay, xn is going to be 0. So with y close to x naught, okay, what is our intention? Our intention is to solve this problem. P dot of s equal to minus dxf minus dzf, z dot equal to tp dot p, x dot equal to t. Okay, this is our interest with the condition. With the condition that compatibility condition is there. Compatibility condition is p of 0 equal to p naught, okay, and z of 0 equal to z naught, and x of 0 equal to x naught. So these are the conditions. Okay. So now what we are going to do, we are going to transform it again. Okay, like what we are going to do is that we are going to find a q. Okay, q of x naught equal to p naught. We are going to find a q. Okay, we are going to find a q such that q of x naught equal to p naught. This I have to find. Okay, we have to find. Now we need to find q such that q of x naught equal to p naught. And then what I have to find? I have to find q of y. Okay, this q of y, comma k of y, comma g of y. Okay, comma y is admissible. You remember that? What was our admissible means? We have saying that z not equal to g of x naught is one condition. Second condition is that we have this this condition should be satisfied. Ninth condition should be satisfied. So that means I got to find some p naught such that q of x naught equal to p naught should be there, and q of y comma g of y, which is coming from this sixth one. Okay, such that if these two are satisfied, then we say that it is admissible. So we need to find. Okay, this is the thing we need to find it out. Okay, so that is what I need to find. I need to find. So according to this one. Okay, so according to number 9, what I need to find? I need to find q of x naught equal to p naught means what I need to find? I got to find q of x naught equal to dou g by dou xi of x naught. I got to find. That is the meaning of this one. Okay, q of x naught equal to p naught means I got to find qi of. So this implies that what I need to find qi of y. Okay, qi of y equal to some dou g by dou yi of dou g by dou xi, actually dou g by dou xi of y. Okay, g of y is there. And then I have to satisfy this would be satisfied. That means I have to find f of q of y comma g of y comma y equal to g. Okay, so these two should hold. Such q equal hold for all y belongs to comma close to x naught. Such a q I got to find. Okay, we need to find this q in such a way that this is going to be satisfied. Okay, so this theorem is going to assert that means if we have so we are going to assert that this q is going to be exist and that is going to be unique. Okay, that is a unique solution. Q of x naught equal to p naught and q of y equal to dou g by dou xi y f of qi comma g of y comma y for all y is sufficiently close to x naught. What is the condition is that the condition for such things should exist is that only one condition is required. So that condition is nothing but dou f by dou pn means with respect to the last variable dou f by dou pn of p naught comma x naught comma sorry z naught comma x naught should be not equal to 0. Okay, if such condition is exist, if this is satisfied, then this q whatever I want to find that is going to be exist and that is going to be unique also. Okay, only unique solution is going to exist. So if such things are existing, in that case this p naught comma z naught comma x naught, this triple we call that as a non-characteristic. Okay, if this condition is satisfied, p naught comma z naught comma x naught is satisfied, so in that case we call it as a non-characteristic. Okay, if this 14 holds, if this is holding, then we say that this p naught of z naught comma x naught is holding. Okay, let's see the proof of this theorem. Okay, so what I have once again I have to find a mapping in this format. So what I'm going to find is that I have already seen something like g of y, same kind of things I'm going to transform it, g of t of comma y. So those things also I'm going to use it now. So what I have let y belongs to Rn. Okay, let's take y belongs to Rn. Okay, so in this case again by implicit function theorem you can find the mapping G. Okay, G is a mapping from R power n to R power n. Okay, such that G of p comma y. Okay, G of p comma y is going to be G1 of p comma y, etc. is going to be. Okay, G of p comma y. G of p comma y is going to become like G1 of p comma y, G2 of p comma y, etc. Gn of p comma y. So that means each of my G1, G2, Gn are concepts of single variable. Okay, means it is going to be G1 of p of y, G2 of p comma y. Means G1 of p comma y is belongs to this is a mapping from R power 2n to R. This is a mapping from R power 2n to R, etc. etc. Okay, so where what I am going to define, what is my GA? GA of p comma y, I am going to define this one. GA of p comma y is going to be pi minus dou g by dou xi of y. So this is going to be my gi of p of y. And last one, gn of p comma y. Okay, gn of p comma y, I am going to use this one, f of p comma g of y comma y. So this is the one I'm defining as my, so this is for I equal to 1 to n. So this is the G I'm going to define, okay, by implicit function theorem. For a given G, R power n to R power n, okay, so R power n cross to R power n to R, okay, so here R power n cross to R power n to R power n, okay. So for this one, because this is a G of p comma over a, so R power n cross R power n to R power n. So in this case, I have this condition, okay. So R power n cross R power n to R power n. By implicit function theorem, you can find this one, okay. For a given G of p comma y, where this one, what you can find is that and given, suppose this is given, okay, G of p naught comma x naught equal to 0 is given, okay. So it's in compatibility condition, because what I have this compatibility condition 6 and 9, that is going to imply me that p naught comma x naught is going to become like 0, because why because if you see this one, the 13th one, or if you go for this compatibility condition, according to this compatibility condition, what I have is that, sorry, here, okay, here, according to this compatibility condition, pi minus tau g by dou xi is equal to 0. Okay, pi equal to tau g by dou xi, therefore this is going to be 0. Okay, at x naught, according to 9, this is going to be 0, and then f of p naught comma z naught comma x naught is also 0. Therefore, this is going to be 0. So therefore, you are going to find g of p naught comma x naught is going to become 0 in this case, and you are going to find the that is going to be satisfied. Okay, this is going to be satisfied. Now what I have, it is given that, okay. So according to this determinant of this one, determinant of TP of, if I find the TP of g of p naught comma x naught, okay, what is the TP of g of p naught comma x naught is going to be? So this is going to be, I'm going to find you can find the determinant of this one, okay. This is going to be tau by tau pn of f of p naught comma x naught comma z naught comma x naught, okay. Only the last is going to survive, because remaining thing, if you write it, what it is going to become like, is going to be 1 1 1 1 1 is going to come, okay. So therefore what you are going to get, only this is going to come. So we'll see that we are going to use the same thing for the next one also. In that case also, you are going to get the same thing, 1 1 1 1, and the diagonal is going to come, and the last column is going to come. So if you take the determinant, only this is going to survive, remaining all will be vanishing. So in the determinant, this is going to come, okay. This is not equal to 0. Okay. So we have that, I think the determinant is there in the next slide. Okay. So maybe in the next slide it is there. The same thing we are going to use it. Okay. So the local invertibility, I think there is a matrix also again. The same kind of structure is going to come here. Once you find the TP of g of p dot of x naught, almost same kind of structure is going to come, where what you are going to get is that this Pn of tau f by tau Pn of p naught comma z naught comma x naught. That is the only thing is going to be there. Okay. Because this is a diagonal matrix, we take the determinant, only this is going to be there. Remaining all is going to become like not coming to the picture. Okay. The same thing is here. If you construct this determinant of TP of g p naught of x naught, the same thing is going to come over here. So therefore, this is going to be, if it is not equal to 0, then this g of p naught comma x naught is going to be not equal to 0. Therefore, for implicit function theorem, this is the only thing I require. If the determinant is not equal to 0, then what I can say, I can always find a unique mapping. Okay, by implicit function theorem, we can uniquely solve this identity. Means I can solve this identity. Suppose this is given according to the inverse mapping theorem. If g of p comma y equal to 0 is given, okay, and this determinant is not equal to 0, okay, determinant of g of p naught comma x naught is not equal to 0. What I can find is that I can find a relation between p and y such that there will be a mapping q such that p equal to q of y is going to exist. That is the inverse mapping, inverse function theorem is going to say. So from that, our implicit function theorem. Okay, so the implicit function theorem is going to say this one. From that you can find this relation, p equal to q of y square. Okay, so using the implicit function theorem, we are going to get that. So now we don't know for every y. Okay, Because why? I have the condition only at x naught, near that x naught only I have not equal to 0. If it is going further from x naught, I don't know what is going to happen. Okay, so in that case I cannot guarantee that. So p equal to qi is going to be existing and it is going to be unique only near x naught. Okay, only near x naught. I cannot guarantee for all the domain, all the points in gamma I cannot guarantee. Only near the x naught I can guarantee because of this condition. If this condition is satisfied, I can guarantee that this is going to exist. Okay, so therefore, what I want to do, I got to find a unique solution. So I found that. So p equal to q of is that. Therefore, if I it is only near x naught. So in particular for x naught also it is going to be satisfied. So for p naught equal to q of x naught is going to satisfy. Okay, and by my construction is that g of py I have constructed in this way. Therefore, g of p naught comma x naught or g of pi comma yi near that x naught is going to satisfy this condition. This is going to satisfy this condition. Okay, so that is the implicit Parsev theorem using that we are going to see. Okay, so if the gamma is not flat near x naught, okay, the above condition can be written as, suppose it is not flat, what you can do is that you can take the normal derivative of that tp, which is, means you can take the normal derivative. Normal derivative means what? You take the here normal derivative with the t, not with x. So what you are going to do? You are going to take tp of p naught comma x, z naught comma x naught, and with outward normal gamma of x naught, you can find the outward normal gamma of x naught. Okay, and take a dot product. Then if it is not equal to 0, then this condition is going to be again this theorem is going to be satisfied. Okay, so then you can do that. So for example, you can consider this following boundary value problem where you have ux plus u square uy equal to 1, okay, in R square, and u of x comma 0 equal to 1. Okay, you can see that the last variable is 0, so it means it is a flattening boundary. Then in this case, you can find the general solution of the PDE, which is of this form. Okay, you can just solve this using the characteristic ODE and then get the answer for this. Okay. So next one, maybe under 2 minutes. Okay. Now, keeping this in mind, what we are going to do is that we are going to find, we are going to ask the question. So, our aim is to solve this problem, okay, this boundary value problem that we need to solve. So, the question is, did we already solve the problem? The answer is no, we didn't solve it. Okay, that is using this characteristic ODE to build a solution. Okay, to build a solution for this problem. Okay, this boundary value problem. At least near gamma. Did we find that? The answer is no. We didn't find that Q so far. Okay, we just flattened the boundary condition and then we obtained this compatibility condition and then we obtained the non-characteristic boundary conditions also. These are the things we got it. But so far we didn't solve the problem. How to solve the problem? Okay, that's the next question. Okay, so not really, we are moving towards it. So let us try. What we are going to use this that we are going to use this all these conditions. First, we are going to straighten the boundary. Then we are going to use the compatibility condition, and then we are going to use the non-characteristic condition. With all these tools together, we are going to solve it. Again, we are going to assume the same thing. Select a point x naught in gamma. Okay, and assume that near x naught, the surface gamma is flat, lying in the plane x naught equal to xn equal to 0, something like this. Okay, and second condition, p naught of z naught comma x naught means the triplet p naught comma z naught comma x naught is admissible boundary data, which is non-characteristic also. Means non-characteristic means is satisfying this condition also. Okay, if it is satisfying this condition, automatically you can say that we can find this p of x naught equal p naught equal to q of x naught you can find, and this condition is going to be satisfied. Okay, so that is going to be there. Then what we are going to say. Okay, so by the above theorem, then you can say that there exists a function q such that p naught equal to q of x naught, and then this q of y etc. is going to be satisfied according to the above theorem. Okay, is principle for all y substantial states. Now, for any y equal to y1, y2, yn minus 1, 0, we can solve this characteristic ODE 10. Okay, the characteristic ODE which we can solve for the initial conditions. P naught, P of 0 equal to P naught, Z of 0 equal to Z naught, etc. Okay. Now what we are going to do, we are going to parameterize this one. Okay. Now what I am going to do is that I am going to parameterize this one. again I'm going to write a new notation. So I will just give the highlight of this idea and then we'll prove it the theorem in the next class probably. So I'm having P of S equal to P of y comma s. Okay. So P of y comma s is going to be P of n P of y2 etc. yn minus 1 comma s. Similarly, z of s is going to be z of y comma s. Same thing, z of y1 comma y2 comma yn minus 1 comma s is going to come. Similarly, x of s is going to become like x of y comma s equal to x of y1 comma y2 comma yn minus 1 comma s. So now what I am going to do, see this is the problem I have. Okay, now I will use this. I will find my p dot of s from here. Okay, and I will use this boundary condition, and I am going to solve this problem near x naught. That is going to give me the solution for my original problem. Okay, that's what we are going to do. So this is the condition we require. So these are the conditions we require. I just give the SketchUp proof. We'll put it in the next class. What we are going to do is that, see here we have that. I will just show the main proof of this one. Okay, these are just claims for that. So what we need to find is that next theorem. So this is the theorem we are going to do. So using this condition, what I am going to do is that u of x equal to z of y of x comma s of x I got to find. Okay, and that is going to solve this problem with the boundary condition. This is going to be there. So I will just show the sketch up to prove what we are going to do. So p of s, x of s, z of s is there. Okay, we got to find the f such that f of y comma s is going to be capital F of p of y comma s is going to be there. And then how we are going to prove this one? Okay, so I am going to prove this one. This dou f I have found. This dou f by dou s. So using this one, I got to find f such that this dou f by dou s is going to become 0. And using this one, I have f of y comma 0 is going to be 0. Using these two conditions, these are going to be called as a system of ODE, and that is going to give me the solution for my problem near this x naught. Okay, that is called the local existence theorem. Means near the x naught, I am going to solve this problem. Okay, so we can see that Ri of 0, which I have used again from the previous theorem, etc. And then I am going to solve this problem. This is the main idea. Means I am going to, my aim is, I flattened the boundary and I found the compatibility condition. Okay, I need to find a compatibility condition, and I got to find the non-characteristic data, the admissible data, admissible triple. Then near the x naught, I can find my solution. Okay, I can find the local existence theorem. Means I am going to find a local solution nearby this x naught. Then I can say that I can just view it together, and then I can find it the bigger picture. So that's the main aim we are looking. Okay, so last line I might have given. So we are going to weave it together. Okay, we are going. So here I have where I have it. Yeah. So this is the one. Okay. So we have this condition. We can locally weave together the solution, and then we can find that we can solve this problem. Okay. So we are going to find the solutions locally, and then we are going to find it for the entire thing. That's the main